Hi there, and welcome to Apprentice University. I am Angie Merle. I'm the Director of Student Engagement. I have the distinct honor and privilege to work with all of these young adult apprentices. They are amazing people, and we're excited to have you in joining us today as we engage in what we like to call the Apprentice Panel Ask Me Anything times. And what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly introduce you to each one of these individuals, and then we're going to give them a chance to tell their own story. We'll have them go through a series of questions. All of them have actually engaged in these type of question and answer panels before. They know a lot of the questions that you have as prospective families and students because they've been in your shoes. So they can answer those and they can tell you what it's like actually to be in the Apprentice University Apprentice program. So first we have Grace Merle. We then have Ian McCullum, Colin Barham, and Lydia White. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to say, guys, for the first couple of questions, I'm going to give you a handful of questions at one part. What was it that first piqued your interest about Apprentice University? How'd you hear about it? And how long have you attended? Okay. Since you're on the left, Grace, my left, Grace, I'll start with you, Grace.
So first question, what piqued my interest? Probably for me, it was just the fact that AU gave me the opportunity to actually explore a variety of interests that I had. I didn't know anywhere about where I wanted to go at all, and I frankly didn't feel like I had a lot of skills in many different areas. So being able to go to AU and be exposed to not only a lot of different environments as well as mentors, but also the opportunity to develop a lot of different skills in many different areas. And I've learned so much about things that I didn't even have a clue existed. That's probably what really drew me to AU in the first place. How I heard about it, I actually got involved with AU back in being a junior in high school with the Jumpstart program. So I've actually been involved with the program for almost 4 years now. So the transition from being in Jumpstart to an apprentice was kind of just natural for me. So like I just said, I've been involved for 4 years now, but almost 2 of that I've been an apprentice. So I've been in 4 full-time apprenticeships, and then 3 full-time apprenticeships, and then my 4th brand transitioned to a part-time when I started up another part-time apprenticeship, and that's kind of where I'm at now, where I'm doing a 4th, 5th, and I've recently started with a different company, so I'm still doing part-time with 2 apprenticeships. So my journey's a little bit confusing now, more so than it was, but I'm technically on a 4th and 5th apprenticeship right now.
Ian, how about we get up to you now?
Just what piqued my interest? That was the original question.
What piqued your interest? How'd you hear about it, and how long and where are you in the program?
I definitely heard about it before my interest was piqued. Before I heard about it, I was just, I'm interested in IT. That's my main path for schooling right now. When I started out doing IT, I was teaching myself, trying to get certifications, hoping that I would just get an internship somewhere, and then that would lead to a job. My sister and my mom found Apprentice University, and they started talking about it, and I got into a conversation with them about it. Sister decided she didn't want to go that way. I decided I did want to go this way. I visited, liked what I saw, and started as a full-time apprentice, unlike some other people who went into the Jumpstart program first. I just went straight in. What piqued my interest about it mainly was the fact that for IT, you need a lot of on-the-job experience over just regular learning. So the opportunity to get that through apprenticeships was incredibly valuable. I am on my 3rd/4th apprenticeship. It's technically my 3rd, but it's an extended one, so I'll be there for the period of 2 regular apprenticeships. And all my apprenticeships so far have been in the IT realm as a managed service provider tech, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
All right, Colin.
I first heard about Apprentice when it was my junior year of high school, and they came and spoke to my class and the class above me, just presenting what Apprentice University was. And at the time, I knew that I didn't want to go to traditional college because I didn't like traditional high school. So that's what piqued my interest, is that Apprentice University is so hands-on, and that's what I needed in order to pursue a film career, which is what I'm currently doing. That's what you need, is a hands-on experience. You don't need a piece of paper telling, oh, wow, you passed classes. So I heard about my junior year. I'm currently on my 4th apprenticeship, which hopefully will extend into a 5th apprenticeship at the same company, because I love this place so much.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kellen. And Lydia.
Saving the best for last, of course. My name is Lydia White, and I've been a part of Apprentice University for like somewhere around 3 to 5 years. I really don't know. So I've been an apprentice for about, thank you. I've been an apprentice for about 1.5 to 2 years. And then, like Grace, I was in the Jumpstart program for a bit before becoming a full-time apprentice. And what really piqued my interest about Apprentice University was I'm the youngest in my family, and I saw my siblings go to college and like not be able to use their degree. And I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was graduating from high school. And so the idea of like going to a college, being stuck in one degree just sounded very daunting and scary to me. So I originally went to Apprentice University for marketing, and I've gotten so many experiences that have since changed. And so Apprentice University is really, really great for people who don't really know what they want to do, but want to explore like actually job and hands-on experience in the workplace, so they can experience like, what do I like, what do I not like, while actually like gaining skills that they can put on their resume. What other question was this? Oh, and I am currently at Helmer Scientific, which is a medical grade company. So we're doing a lot of sales right now, as you can imagine. So it's been crazy. I've been there for about a year, but yeah, I've been in marketing positions before this, and now I'm more in like a sales, operations, customer service type of role. So, yeah.
So why don't you list off the corporate partners you've been at and all of the different types of experiences you've had since we've got you on yet?
Okay. So for my first experience, I don't know if the guests have heard, but there's this thing at Apprentice University called a pig farm. You go there to learn grit and just hard work. And so that was my first experience. So I was there for 3 weeks, and it was great. I'm not a country girl whatsoever, so it was a great experience. So that was my first experience, just learning grit there. And then directly after that, I went to Truth at Work, and for them, I did a membership assisting, and they also hold a large conference. And so I was responsible for assisting with remote sites for that, and just other random projects that went into getting that conference running and to make it a success, basically. And then I went to Swan Software Solutions, which is a software development company in Carmel, and I did marketing for them. And that was actually an extended apprenticeship. Then in my extended apprenticeship, I got to do a lot in operations, because I was actually right under the operations manager. So I got to do a lot of operations, where I really fell in love with like the whole organizing and just the whole operations world. So that's where I was. And then right now I'm at Helmer. So, and I just told you guys about Helmer. So yeah, that's my whole journey.
Wonderful. Ian, since you already said you've been in IT, why don't we just jump over to you real quickly and talk about the experiences that you've had, because you had a more set path that you wanted to explore?
My very first apprenticeship was at Arete Technology Solutions. I just started out there fresh out of everything, basically. It was a brand new experience. Before I went there, I was terrified of everything, never left the house, homeschooled kid, super anxiety. And then throughout that first experience, it really bolstered my confidence in both my technical skills and my soft skills. From there, I moved on to, I think I went to the farm next before I went to Brightworks. And I went to a dairy farm instead of a pig farm because I refused to do anything with meat processing.
Pigs are cuter.
So I made them get me a dairy farm. And that was probably one of my favorite experiences I've had so far at AU, was 3 weeks on that dairy farm. Next, I went to Brightworks, or the Brightworks group in Carmel, Indiana, and I spent the next 5 months there, again, hardening my technical skills and again, really bolstering those soft skills, the customer service skills. And now I'm really, really leveraging those customer service skills at GoodellNet, where I have been for 5 months, will be for another 5 months, and I work mostly on the help desk answering phones. But I'm also doing a little bit of work with their applications team to hopefully move into a junior role if I decide to go there once I graduate. A junior applications role, sorry, once I graduate. And that's my journey so far.
Excellent. Thank you. And Colin.
So my first apprenticeship was with a company called OmniSource Marketing, and it was an interesting role. So I had a little bit of experience with video, had a little bit of experience with photography, got to use both of those there. And my major role was to help manage the clients, keep everything up to date with them, and send out information to them, keeping them up to date with our new products, what's leaving, what's going. My next one was with T2 Systems, where my main role was marketing. I helped with our marketing campaign. I ended up setting up a after party for one of our conferences over in Arizona. I also did a couple of videos for them. One of them was for their pay station, because they do like pay stations where you pay to park your car. Do it for one of those, and then also a more slideshow video for one of their conferences. My next one was for, boy, where did I go? New Pro Containers, where it's bad. I have their shirt on. My main role there was video. So I went from a more of a marketing role, transitioned into a video role, which is what I've been wanting to do the entire time. So there I did 100% video, the video for their products, a meet the team video. I also did a company culture video. Then they also sent me out on one of their conferences to do a what you missed at the conference, which that was an absolute blast. Then now I'm at One Click Contractor, where I'm still doing all video with a little bit of marketing. And that's been going really well so far. We're booming right now. So I increased my hours there. And I'm probably going to get an extended apprenticeship whenever it comes time for this one to end.
Thanks, Colin. And then Grace.
So my first apprenticeship was with Truth at Work, which is a nonprofit organization up in North Indiana, Fishers area. And I was there as their membership assistant, doing a variety of different projects, helping them manage their little HubSpot portal for all of their prospective members, setting up for roundtables, and helping with them. At the time I was there, they were celebrating their 20th anniversary. So I got to help plan the party for them. And they also had a couple trainings for their chapter presidents that I got to help with. From there, I moved on to RT Moore, which is a mechanical contracting company that does plumbing and HVAC. And I was helping them begin developing and building out a whole leadership development program for all of their superintendents who run their job sites.
Come through fast.
And as well as doing some other HR related tasks, like writing and reformatting over 200 job descriptions, which was actually really fun. My third apprenticeship was with Hiddle Landscaping. I was also in their HR department, and I helped them build out an onboarding guide for all of their new field employees. From there, I went to a company up in Carmel called Precision Point, and I was their marketing director full-time for 5 months, and then I transitioned to part-time because during 2019, I had the opportunity to get certified in a problem-solving methodology and became partners with Ron, Mr. Brumbacher, and Compass Consulting. And towards the latter half of 2019, we started doing more engagements in that and work with that. So in January of this year, I transitioned to part-time with Precision Point to focus more on the work with Compass Consulting. Unfortunately, due to everything that's going on, their business has slowed down, so they ended up suspending my apprenticeship, temporarily suspending it. But to Colin's point, One Click was booming, and I had some extra hours, so I've now had the opportunity. I just started with them part-time this week to help their marketing team with all of their marketing.
Excellent. If any of our guests have any questions right now, I'll open it up to you. Otherwise, I have another series of questions we can ask them, but I want to allow you to jump in. And again, for those of you potential students are wondering if you're in our classes now and you want to go on to the Apprentice program, now is your time to really, really ask them anything, because these guys are living the experience and they're the ones who can truly tell you what it's like on a day and a week and so forth. So anybody have any questions right now? Not yet? Okay. Then I'll go ahead and just move on down with a lot of the questions that you guys get asked a lot. What doubts might you have had? Maybe you didn't have any, but if you had any doubts before becoming an apprentice, what were they? How did you overcome those doubts? And what would you say to someone who's looking at it now based on the doubts you may have had and have overcome? And I'll just let you guys take it, whoever wants to answer.
I think one of the doubts that I had was like the only other job that I had had before coming on to Apprentice University was working at Starbucks, and so obviously that is a very big jump to go from, you know, your high school job, whatever you want to call it, to going straight into a corporate arena and a corporate environment where you had to, you know, like actually be professional and actually add value in those ways. So I think that was something that was really worrisome to me, but a lot of our corporate partners like understand we're coming into this like very, very new, and we are going to make mistakes, and we are there to like add value and just to learn. And so I think that was something that was very, very scary to me, but I just would want to encourage you guys, like, you guys can do it. You guys can like jump right in. You guys can learn how to add value. But I think that's one of the biggest fears and doubts that anyone who's thinking about coming to Apprentice University is like, okay, like I've never had like a corporate job, or I've never worked with clients or something like that. And it's just, our corporate partners are very, very good about being good mentors and really just letting us fit in and seeing how we can add value. So you guys can definitely do it. That's what I would say.
Thanks, Lydia. Any of you guys have any other things to add to that?
I think to add on to Lydia's point, it wasn't always just this idea that you're going into a completely new environment, but I'm quite sure that at some point in time, all of us doubted our abilities to actually do the work. I know personally, I wanted to be able to do the work and not only do it, but do it really well. And that can be a good thing, because you always do want to do your work and do it well. But when you're coming on as an apprentice, the expectation is you're going to be challenged, and you're going to be challenged with things that you have no idea what you're doing. And oftentimes you're thrown into the deep end because you're expected to ask for help from your mentors there. And I can say that every single apprenticeship I have had, my mentor's always been there, willing to ask questions and help me. So sometimes the doubt are actually good things, and it's because you don't, like, no one ever wants to be so confident in their abilities and become a prideful person. So actually having some amount of doubt, but not letting it stop you from accepting those challenges and asking for help.
If any student has a question, or potential student has a question, any guest inside the room today, just go ahead and let us know, and we'll go on from there. What are some? I will tell you this. I hear you all speak, and you talk about being in operations and HR and all this, and you're throwing around workplace terminology that has become so second nature to all of you in such a very, very short amount of time, that I think maybe other people are thinking, how do you even, like, I don't even know this terminology. What does operations mean? What is, you're in a marketing department and all of this. So if any of you could speak to that, is that how is it that you go in and you can become so well versed in such a number of different key aspects of many different types of businesses, different departments, and so forth? Is how does that happen for you guys, that you can speak so eloquently about so many different types of things that happen out in all kinds of different careers?
I work in, like I said, IT, and I've worked mostly in what are called managed service providers, which are IT companies that service multiple different types of businesses and different companies as one entity. So I have had lots and lots of experience with all kinds of different companies, and I've had to learn different verbiage and terms and acronyms and anything you can imagine just so I can communicate better with my teammates. And that's pretty much the only reason why I know what all these things mean, is because I have to, in order to communicate issues if I need help, or indicate solutions to my teammates if they need help. It's just something that's become second nature, like I think you said, over the course of working. It's not something that I intentionally worked towards. It was just kind of a passive thing that I learned as I kept working up through my apprenticeships.
I'd say after probably your second apprenticeship is when you'll start getting everything down. But just over the course of time, you see so many people in those same roles that you heard about from the previous apprenticeship. Like, oh, this is what they do, and each one adds on top of that. So it's like Ian said, it's not something you work towards knowing everything; it just happens as long as you talk to people.
And Ian mentioned that, even though he is in IT and administration in this, he's had exposure to so many different types of companies and industries, because that's who he works with and what he does. And if any of you can speak to, even though you may be in a particular environment area in one sort of career field, what it's like when you're involved and you're able to work with the other departments within your apprenticeships.
What was the question?
The different types of experiences you've had with just the ability to learn about other departments and other things, like you had mentioned, Lydia, you came in with an idea to do one thing, but you were exposed to something else. How did that exposure happen? And how does that work when you're in an apprenticeship and you're in a specific role and yet you get exposed to something else?
I'd say for me, like at Swan, it was a very small company, so it was a startup company, and all of us apprentices are trained to really look for places that we can add value. And I saw that my mentor was stressed about things, so I was like, okay, like how can I add value? Then that's just how I kind of learned, like, wow, I really like this whole operations thing. And so it's just really looking for ways that you can add value, because I mean, none of us are in, I don't think any of us are really in like a set, like, okay, this is exactly what you're doing. I think like a lot of us can venture out, and if we want to get other experiences somewhere else, then our mentors are very much open to that, as long as like it brings value to the company. Like they know that we're just trying to explore, and as long as we're bringing value to the company, then we can do quite a lot of few projects. So that's definitely how it happened at a startup culture, is you just find ways you can add value, and how that aligns with like where you want to experience that new skill growth.
This is a really hard question, right? What is a typical day and week and month look like for you as an apprentice? And along with that, we are very careful when we're talking to potential apprentices who are interested in Apprentice University to say, this is not the easy path. This is much harder path. What does that mean? So what's a typical day, week, month look like, and why do we want people to understand what it means that it's a harder path to decide to take?
I can take it if no one else will.
Okay, and then
I was waiting. I was like, I answered the last one.
Then we'll go to Ian, then we'll go to Grace, and then we'll go down.
Okay. Would you like typical day now or typical day when we're not quarantined?
That's what I was just wondering.
That's a good idea. So let's obviously, everybody, we obviously know that in the last 3 weeks, our world has completely flipped upside down, and everyone that you see here is now working remotely. They have, their apprenticeships have just kept going on, and they're working remotely. So that's pretty amazing. We can talk about agility and resourcefulness, right? You guys have demonstrated that to a T with excellence. And that was actually mentioned by our corporate partners earlier today, is how well you guys have just spot on changed on a dime when we needed to be agile in the last few weeks. But I would say, let's say what does it typically look like before we were all remote and have to stay at home? Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll just talk about what typical days are at my current apprenticeship and how I'm working now. Uh, it Day starts. I wake up in the morning, shower, 40-minute commute to work, and then I am working exactly the same role as an apprentice as I would someone else on my team. I work on the rapid response team at GoodellNet, but I'm not given any easy handouts or treated any differently because of my role as an apprentice. I'm still doing the same job. I just am technically an apprentice. Uh, Throughout the beginning of GoodellNet, I was assigned to do a few different things before I really found my set path for doing phones on the service desk, which I really, really enjoy. I will take calls throughout the day. I will assist my teammates if they need any help, ask my teammates for help as I solve different issues that people call in about. And I've had ones that are as simple as changing somebody's password to things that are as difficult as rebuilding entire email structures for a company, and it was kind of a nightmare. I get home from GoodellNet around 5:30, and depending on how productive I have already been that week, I will either do some homework for the coming Friday, or I will work on badging and trying to get what I need done for my upcoming promotion day, which has been moved because of the virus. But yeah, that's my typical day, typical week, and typical month is really no different than that, other than certain days I'll have for certain types of badging. But that's pretty much about it.
So even before quarantine, my typical day, week, month looked slightly different than most other apprentices because I was going part-time with two apprenticeships. So my typical weekly structure, I was generally working Mondays up in Carmel with Precision Point, and I was managing all of their social media for them, working on some videos and photography and some other projects for them. And then I worked a couple other a half day or so throughout the rest of the week for them, but then the rest of the time was devoted to Compass Consulting, and that could mean anything from traveling the rest of the week to meetings and different workshops, or doing some marketing planning and meetings here, or designing workshops, and sometimes it involved going to conferences and week-long training. So it all just kind of varied. That work varied a lot more than what I was doing at Precision Point. So my week as an apprentice looked really different from week to week. And then Fridays we had classes. So that's yeah, that's my best answer.
Anybody want to speak to about from week to week and a monthly basis as far as having classes, working nearly full time, trying to get some other things done, social time. So what is it when we say, this is hard? Why is it hard? Why do we want people to know it's hard? Colin, I think I've heard you speak to this before. It's just most people your age aren't doing the kinds of things you're doing. So you want to speak to that?
So again, you're probably going from high school or maybe a year after high school straight into a corporate job, plus whatever else you have on the side, plus school. And in the end, it just becomes, at first it's a lot, and then you get used to it, you know how to manage it, and it kind of becomes fun. So right now I'm doing better than I was before, but before I was working the 32-hour a week for the apprenticeship, then going to my side job as a manager at Dairy Queen, working 15, 20 hours there. Then I had school, badging, all that stuff. Now I'm slowly working away from that, going into this apprenticeship where I'm just increasing the hours here, trying to quit my side job so I can focus solely on my apprenticeship, help them out as much as I can while I'm here.
I think all of us can say that when we first started Apprentice University, like our first month of becoming an apprentice, we really had to be forced to learn time management. And I use this story all the time, but Mrs. Merle will be the first one to tell you that I used to be like one of the most disorganized person ever, probably in the whole entire Apprentice University. I honestly would say that I was the very most disorganized person. But because of just like the rigor of this program, you really had to learn how to manage your time and to manage your projects and manage what you were working on, to the point where now, like, I feel like I have a lot of free time. But I mean, 4 months ago, I had quite a lot of clients, and now I've offboarded quite a lot of them. But I had to learn how to manage my time then as well, to the point where now I manage my time fairly well. So that's really what Apprentice University teaches everyone in their first month, is to how to manage your time, because a lot of us came from being high school students to now full-time young professionals in the business world. And so we have to figure out how to manage our time and get everything done and be responsible adults, because we all love that so much, right? Learning how to adult, that's basically the first month.
And tagging on that, let me just ask this, if you guys don't mind. Typically you don't. If you would say your ages, and then tell us now what some of your goals are, if you know what they might be post graduation. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Who wants to go first with that?
I'll go first. I am 21 years old. I'm one of the oldest people at Apprentice University. And once I graduate, my main goal for now is to hopefully return to GoodellNet. Sorry, because I've grown to really adore the people there, and I really love the job there. And as I mentioned earlier, I have an opportunity when I return to move into a junior applications role, which is basically the tier right above where I'm working now, right when I get into the job. So yeah, that's my age and my plan.
Colin. Oh, by the way, Ian, just let me say this to the guests in the room. Ian says he's 21. He's the oldest. We have had 25, 26, 27 years old in our program. Sometimes the typical average age chips more to like 22, 23. Sometimes it goes back down to 18, 19. Now I think our average age is 20, 21 right now. So it kind of goes back and forth depending. But Colin, go ahead.
So I am 19 years old, and my current goal for after graduation, which is probably about a year from now, would be to continue on with my own business, as my videography business. Possibly start out working part-time whatever job I have, just support myself, and then slowly transition to making my business full-time.
Lydia or Grace? And maybe you don't know, and that's okay.
I do. I'm just trying to make it really short.
Okay.
So I'll make it very short. So goals with Apprentice University. So the next apprenticeship that I'm going to, I'm really hoping that that's where I'll be offered a job position. It's going to be with Inspire Marketing. I already know, but I really like the people there. But I also really do think I would enjoy the work as well. And so that will be my next apprenticeship, and it's my hope that I'll get hired there. But if not, I'm very confident that I have enough skills on my resume that I could be hired I'm looking at multiple different companies that I would really enjoy working at as well. And so I'm very confident that I could take that resume and send it to them and get a job that I would really, really like. So that's my whole 9-to-5 career right there. But I think I've been set up really well with Apprentice University. And then I think I mentioned 4 months ago, I was doing a lot of freelance work in marketing and realized I really didn't enjoy it at all. And so that's why I offboard people, but I really have found a business that I do want to grow. And so that's what I want to be building up while I'm continuing to do Apprentice University, but then building up so that then it can take over what I'm doing in my career with either Inspire or whatever company I end up working at. So that's the very short version of my goals.
I'm going to jump in here real quickly. Thanks for that, because you guys have touched on something. Would you talk a bit about the kind of network that you all are able to establish while you're apprentices and at such young ages, the types of network that you have and the people you are connected to personally throughout your time, and how that works? I know earlier we had on a CEO and a vice president and so forth in our corporate partners. So if any of you want to speak to that.
Yeah, through my past apprenticeships, I've grown to know a lot of different people. I have the personal cell phone numbers of 2 different CEOs in my phone right now that I could call once I graduate, and they would offer me a job, is what they've said. At my current place, I know a lot of different people. It's about 100 employees, and I know probably about half of them personally. just talking to people through being called on the service desk. I even get to talk to different people. At my second apprenticeship, I went on site and actually went in person to different companies and got to meet and talk to people that way. I didn't do a lot of networking, but I still have connections. I got business cards, and yeah, my personal network that I've grown through this school is way more than I thought it would ever be. I didn't even think I'd have a personal network before AU, but it's pretty great.
I will say this, I used to go to quite a lot of networking events, and the response I always got was like, wow, people your age aren't networking, and it really sets you apart when you have those people skills and you can have conversations with CEOs and business owners and everything like that at such a young age, I guess. And so they're always very surprised, and I feel like all of us in Apprentice University have a very, very well-versed network compared to other people our age, which I mean will get you pretty far in life.
Grace, you want to talk about a network you happen to have with Compass Consulting, a worldwide network now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to say my network's a little different than everyone else's because of my involvement with Compass Consulting. So I now know people in Ethiopia. I know people in Australia. I know people in Europe. I know lots of people in Toronto, and all across the world because of the work that Mr. Brumberger and I have done with that. So my network looks a little different than everyone else's because of that. But the point still remains that all of us, no matter really what role you're getting into as an apprentice, the opportunity to build a network within that company and meet people from, lower level to up higher level management is up to you based on, are you going to actually make the effort to reach out and have relationships with those people?
Absolutely. Cullen, if you want to speak to this as well, you're welcome to. You don't have to. I have about 3 other questions. Do any of you guests have any questions at this point in time? I'll keep going. If you don't, hopefully they're answering things that you had in your minds, but please jump in if you do.
I did want to ask about what all of your guys' experiences with cohorts are and what you guys have done together with those groups that you get into.
My experience has been, and it kind of varies where all of us are. So in my cohort, there were originally 5 of us, but there ended up being 4 of us. 3 of us had been in AU for probably 2 or at least 1.5 years in Jumpstart prior to becoming apprentices, and was new and just came on as an apprentice. So hopefully we were help to him, but he was great and learned a lot really, really quickly. So it was, I will definitely say the beginning months, I think for all of us, it was really great to have a cohort because all of us were in it together and in a new environment together and able to kind of talk through some of those initial anxieties around our apprenticeships and the new world we were stepping into. I think as it's gone along, that's changed slightly and morphed a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think it's been great because not only do we have a broader community within AU where everyone's friends and can challenge each other, but also having that smaller community of, simple things of like, hey, are you actually doing all the badging work you need to be doing for your promotion day, or bouncing back and forth different presentations and just things we're working on. It's great to know not only within your cohort that you can ask questions of your fellow students, but also encourage them.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid answer. The one thing I would add is that the importance of the cohort is really apparent, like she said, in the early stages of AU, when you're really just kind of thrown into it. You have other people who are also thrown into it. You have that shared experience of learning new things together. And as it goes on, you kind of find your footing in AU, and you don't really need to lean on people as much as you did in the beginning, and you become more of an individual in your own cohort. But I know for certain, as I'm prepping for promotion day coming up, that I'll be leaning pretty heavily on people in my cohort for some stuff, especially because they've all promoted ahead of me already, so they know what to expect. So yeah, important early on, still important later, but you become more of an individual by then.
that help, Mitch?
Yeah, that clarifies a couple of things for me.
Okay.
Thanks.
Since you guys have mentioned this a couple times, why don't you all, and I will ask all of you to speak to this, is we talk about the progression through Apprentice University, how it is very individualized, and yet you all go through the experience of presenting your case to your mental panels 3 times, twice to promote, just like someone would in the real world, actually probably even more intense than that. And then our graduation day, known as Judgment Day, which none of you have had, but you've had the experience of seeing friends be successful through those. So why don't you guys all take a moment to explain what that's like and what you're expected to share and what it's like to have mentors sit there and actually make you defend your case to be promoted and encourage you. So Colin, I'm going to start with you on this one.
So going through those stages is, I've only been through the first promotion day, and I'm going to be honest, my preparedness wasn't up to par, but because I learned through my mistake, I was able to pass. All my mentors realized, wow, he has grown through this. He deserves to make it through, but he did mess up on this one part. So I'm going to use that to better myself in this upcoming one whenever E and I present at whatever date it may be. I don't know how much I can add with that. I just know it's going to be hard in the future.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced it yet.
Yeah. I can say that experience, if you're unprepared, is definitely nerve-wracking. Luckily, I was a little bit more prepared than Colin was, and it was really an experience that is hard to describe. The best I can say is that it's intense, staring down people, knowing that they must come to a pretty much unanimous decision in order to pass you and let you promote and continue through advancing. It's a 20 to 45 minute process, depending on how intensive the questions get afterwards, because you will get asked tough questions. The prep, everyone goes through the exact same prep for a lot of the stuff because of how the foundation certificate works. The foundation certificate is a collection of badges that are required to graduate, and you have to hit certain milestones in that certificate in order to promote. So everyone goes through that same experience prepping with those badges. Everyone goes through the same experience prepping their presentations, but nobody's really ready for the questions you're going to get asked. Those are going to be super individualized. The path you've taken is obviously individualized already, depending on your interest in the school. And in the end, it really just comes down to your confidence in what you've learned so far, because it's all about going back and talking about your biggest accomplishments and your biggest learning opportunities from your failures and seeing what comes out the other side.
Thanks, guys. Lydia?
I mean, I don't really have anything to add. Like, yeah, it's really tough, and if you prepare well, then it'll go well, and your mentors will see that. I think the most nerve-wracking part to me was, I guess, like, you don't know what's really on your mentor's mind, how you haven't seen maybe in a bit, and so it's just like, how do you prepare them to be able to come up with questions and everything like that. So my first time that I did it was really bad. I promoted twice now somehow. I have no idea how, but the first time that I presented, it went very bad, very, very bad for multiple different reasons. And so that really fueled me to give a really good second promotion pitch. And I feel that my second one went very, very well. So it's very, very nerve-wracking, though, to have to pitch why you are so amazing and why you should be promoted. Like, that's not ever something I enjoy doing ever. So I don't like making presentations about, this is why I'm so amazing, now promote me. So it's difficult. Don't really have anything else to add, like y'all said it all. So
Thanks. Grace, you want to add anything?
Well, so my experience was the opposite of Lydia's. So I've also been promoted twice. Again, not quite sure how that happened. But my first presentation, my first promotion day actually went really well, and I really enjoyed it. And my favorite part, surprisingly, was the questions that the mentors asked, even though they were often very difficult to answer. My second one, I did not do very well, which for a lot of different reasons. I think one of the best things about the promotion days is that it forces us as students to reflect back upon our time, and depending on when it's been scheduled, it can either be like 4 months, 3 months. Generally it's about, I think it's about maybe even a year between them. It kind of just depends, but it forces you to reflect back upon that time and the experiences you had. Ian mentioned, we have to talk about the failures that we've had, even hi Kat. Even if it makes us uncomfortable. So that's one thing that I think is really beneficial, just as students, to do that, because it helps clarify. I think Lydia maybe had experienced this too. It helps clarify some of the things you're like, oh, I don't actually enjoy that as much as I thought I would. And even outside of that presentation, you start thinking about where do you actually want to go next in this next part of the program. So it's more than just that, 1 30-minute presentation and 15 minutes of questions. It's actually, where have I been and where do I want to go in the next 6 months to a year, or till when I graduate. So I think how the program is laid out, it's wonderful to have those moments, not only as like to step up and level, but also to kind of pause and be like, I'm actually getting somewhere, right?
Good, thank you. Our guests have any questions yet?
I did want to ask, some of you guys said that you had difficulty on your presentation days, and some of them went bad and some of them better than others. But if you do, like, I guess, fail on a presentation day, do you get to just try again very soon, or what happens with that?
No one has failed, so we don't know.
I will say
has
you'll get
failed.
called out.
Yeah, and that's not quite true.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's been someone who has failed, and so then they had the mentors just be like, "This is what you need to fix, and this is what we need to see from you."
I didn't know that.
Surprise!
Yes,
And then
before all of your time, but we have had
Oh.
actually, and actually, one of our current apprentices has a provisional promotion from his last promotion day. He was provisionally promoted. His mentors wanted to see some other things from him. So we have wonderful mentors here, which you guys can speak to some of these guys, is about what your mentors are like, and some of the amazing people we have on board with us. But they all want to see you succeed. That's their end goal, is to see all of the apprentices succeed. And so they will set up plans, even if they think that someone is not ready for promotion or needs a provisional promotion, or we need to do something. They help set up plans for that. That is always the goal, is to see you succeed. Judgment Day is a all or nothing type thing here. Your mentors from throughout your entire program have to unanimously agree that you are worthy of the job. Either they have already offered you, or they're going to offer you, or whatever it is you would like for them to do to help you jump off their shoulders into your next goal. Great question, Mitch. Do you have any other ones, or anybody else have any? Okay. All right. One of the last things that I'd love, I think, for you to say to all of our guests is, because earlier today we had several of our instructors on live with us. Any of you want to talk about classes, favorite class or anything, or instructors, and what it's like with the professionals who are here teaching and engaging with you on Fridays?
I guess I'll go ahead and kind of throw out my answer. So as you probably know from being in those panels with them, all of our instructors are practicing business professionals, which makes the classes that we take with them even more valuable for us, because they're actually kind of giving us real-time updates on what's going on in their world and are able to teach it to us. So I found that especially helpful. I've been in almost all of our digital storytelling and videography courses with our instructor, Craig DeHutt. And those are probably some of my favorite ones. And I've learned so much, not even just like about videography, but interacting with clients and running your own business and marketing and storytelling in general, that he's able to share with us from his world and where he's gone from where he started and he working in a company, then going freelancing, then co-founding a nonprofit, and just hearing his journey and seeing he has when we first was in our first introductory class with him, he put a slideshow of his career map, and it was like so just learning from him and the crazy journey he's been on. And I think with all of our instructors, that's the same thing, is all of them have experience and knowledge that they can tell us about where they're working now, but also learning from where they've been in the past too is incredibly beneficial to all of us. And then just the classes themselves are amazing.
Some of you actually take classes again willingly because you love the instructor so much, you love the content so much, correct? You choose to actually just sit under their mentorship and tutelage again because they just such neat people here. But I know that Paige and Mr. Brumberger are on here. Do either one of you have a final question that we haven't touched on that we often get asked on the apprenticeship panel, or any of our guests before we close it out for this evening?
Sure, I'll throw something in. Sorry, I don't have a camera at the moment. I would just ask each of you, sorry about the noise, what's been the hardest part of AU for you so far?
Okay, I'm going to call on you. Give you time to think for a second. So Lydia, you're up first. Hardest part so that you think so far.
I would definitely say learning where to pivot, like, because the whole reason I am in Apprentice University, because I didn't know what I wanted to do and I really wanted to explore. So I think that's the most difficult choice. And like, I am a very much person, okay, like I need to know like where I'm going, what am I doing, like all the time. And it's very hard for me to just like go with it and like not have a plan per se. So I always feel like that's been the hardest thing, is like, okay, like what kind of experiences do I actually want? Like every experience that I get with Apprentice University is going to teach me something. But I think that's been the hardest part, is like, okay, like just figuring out what in the world do I want to do. And so I still haven't exactly figured it out, but I mean, I definitely have enough skills on my resume that I could get hired somewhere. And so that makes me very, very happy. And I know like if I had gone to a college, I would be stuck in marketing and I really wouldn't be able to do much with that, because I don't necessarily enjoy marketing as much as maybe I thought I would. So I think the hardest part has just been really trying to figure out like what kind of skills do I want to add and how to get those. So it's also been the most funnest. I was about to say funnest, that's not a word, I'm sorry, but I can't not say that word. I say that word all the time, but it's also been the most funnest, is like just trying to figure out what kind of experiences do I want and how to build that resume. So that's been the hardest, but the best part about Apprentice University.
I'd say the hardest part used to be managing my time, because there will be some free time that you have to give up, some personal things that you have to give up in order to accomplish something else. But again, you end up being able to manage that. Now I would say is the public speaking aspect. I'm still not very good at it, trying to get better. I need to get better for what I want to do. But it's with the promotion days, with these panels, figuring out how to publicly speak has been hard for me, and AU has pushed me very, very, very far along in that whole aspect.
You're going to be brilliant at it, Colin. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Ian?
So the hardest singular moment for me was my first week at my first apprenticeship, because I had no experience in anything and was terrified and full of anxiety being a homeschool kid. And the hardest continuous thing for me personally is badging. because when you work 8 to 5 and you have homework, the last thing you want to do is willingly, when you're not really assigned anything, continue doing work. And that is the most difficult thing I have to do, is continuing badging myself with no real push other than the deadline of promotion day coming up.
I just had the hardest thing. Oh, yes. The hardest thing for me is kind of goes along with Colin when he said time management. But for me, it's giving up the quote unquote normal life of an 18 to 22-year-old. And kind of what I mean by that is just we don't have a lot of free time on our hands. So we don't, it's we don't always get to do spontaneous fun things as a group because all of us aren't even in one central location all the time. And sometimes when it does happen, there's other things that need to take priority over that. So I think the hardest thing for me has been learning how to prioritize my future over the things I may miss out on now, and yet still making sure there's a balance so that I'm like, I don't have no social life at all, right? And I don't have any friends at all, but recognizing that there are other things that are really important that do need to take my time at the moment.
And unfortunately, I would say in the last 3 weeks and what's happening in the world right now is that all has leveled out, hasn't it, guys? Unfortunately, everybody's in the exact same boat now. There's no social activities for anyone. So hopefully that'll change sooner rather than later. But
I love it. I'm an introvert.
I know. One of those.
Jackson,
the extrovert. Lydia was such an extrovert when she was in high school.
And then I met all of you guys, and I was like, I can't stand people. I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding.
Yeah.
It's just so offending.
Well, you can't let them leave on the bummer of what's the hardest part of AU. You have to then follow up with the lightning round of what's been your favorite part.
Okay, there you go.
Lydia
That's
says,
from
"What's the
Paige, not
funnest?"
me. So let's go backwards this time. Grace, and then we'll go backwards from what we did last time.
Probably my favorite parts have been the summer retreats we do, or just kind of any of the social gatherings. So most recently, we had an evening where we spent time doing a team building activity with an electric maze rug. That was really fun. So it's kind of just all the fun things we get to do that are probably some of the best memories that I have from my time at AU.
Is it I don't know if it's
Yep,
my
go
turn.
ahead, Lydia.
Okay. I would say the flip side of actually what we were saying of the downside is that we aren't doing what typical 18 to 21-year-olds are doing. And so that's something that's been super powerful. Like I feel like we can get a jump start on our careers and a jump start on like what kind of life do we want to live and what kind of impact do we want to leave. But we can really get a jump start and not have this little like buffer in between high school and being an adult, which is like college. I feel like we really just get a jump start and get to learn who we are and get to build our career like earlier than a lot of people our age. I feel like that's the best part because I feel like when people from college are going to graduate, they're going to graduate and not be able to get a job as easily as some of us who graduate from Apprentice University will be able to get a job. And so that's something that's very, very powerful, is like we're just already setting ourselves up for success financially, impact-wise, career-wise, just all of positive things. So I'm very happy that I chose Apprentice. My mom found Apprentice University before I went to a college and was stuck there and really would not have liked it at all. So Apprentice University has been very good. So you guys should come here. All positive things.
Ian.
Pretty much mainly what Grace said, the community aspect has been my favorite part. I've created and have grown some of the closest friendships that I will ever have in my entire life. And that is probably, besides the absolute killer resume that I have right now, even with a year left to go, the one thing I'll carry with me out of AU that I probably could not have gotten anywhere else.
And Colin.
Yeah, going off what Ian said, I'd say So I'm going to change what I said before. The worst part about, it's not even an apprentice, it's about the process of going through, is the doubt that you have whenever you go to these big places. You think that you're so small and that you can't do the job, and then you realize, oh wait, I can. I do have the skills for this. I'm here for a reason. So that goes into the best thing is realizing, wow, I can do this. And having that excellent, excellent resume, even when still have a year left. I can go out and get a decent amount of jobs at decent jobs. Just having that accomplished feeling is so, so good.
Thank you guys all so much. And I will, again, just plug all of you, is that you are such highly skilled people sitting here. Thank you for being in this Zoom room for us. Thank you for pivoting and being able to go remote. Thank you for your agility, your resourcefulness. And you are highly intelligent, highly skilled people who I full well know you've already been offered jobs. You've already been doing jobs, all of you, on projects, paid projects, because of your skill levels. And it's amazing to see what you guys can do. So thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and we will sign off for now. Bye-bye.